Move on, actually.
Season 2, episode 45. Brace yourself.
Josh, in Virginia.
How are you doing?
How's it going? You're talking to Eric and Jamie.
Hi, Eric. Hi, Jamie.
Hello.
Hi, Josh.
I just wanted to say, Jamie specifically, I've been watching for a long time. I think that the way that you handle certain callers, it displays your experience with dealing with people going through emotional and even addictive difficulties. You just, I don't know, my girlfriend says the same thing, that you handle certain people with a certain patience that is really important. I just wanted to kind of commend that, especially with what I wanted to talk about today, that there's people out there that it's...
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that.
What the truth is, sometimes it can actually, break people down. Not everyone can handle the truth.
Man, as
as
that guy in that movie once said to Tom Cruise's character, can't handle the truth. Whatever. I haven't actually seen the movie, but it's kind of a famous, you can't handle the truth, man. You want answers? Yeah, I want answers. You want answers? I want the truth. Sorry.
I'm so sorry I left you with Jamie.
Oh, you're
right.
fine.
No,
so
you're
you
fine.
wanted to call. I was covering for you, so you didn't have to do that. And we were having a good time, and now you tattled on yourself, kind of.
Fair
so
enough.
what did you want to talk? Thank you for
Yes.
saying that. Your words of encouragement mean a lot to me.
But what you guys do is really important. I think there's not a huge number of people out there that do what you do. There's more of them. It's growing rapidly.
It is.
But like the caller before, George, Hoda, that was awesome.
Frude.
I was very, very emotional too, just like everybody else.
I still got a little weak in the knees, little shakes going on.
Yeah, I have dried my eyes though. So
I saw his other calls. I saw at least 2 of his previous call-ins, and that was not every case is going to go down like that, but that was really,
Right?
It made me think of if you've ever heard the story about an elephant, the baby elephants, you can tie a rope around one of their feet and tie it to this tiny little post. And over time, they'll grow up to be this large elephant. They still won't break that rope, and then they can break it whenever they want to. It's incredibly easy, but it's the psychology.
Oh, okay, because they grow up learning as when they're young that they can't break the rope.
Basically, when they're young, they can't break the rope and they can't get away, so they don't think they can break the rope. And then when they become older and have that power, have that independence, they could break it. They don't.
Yeah, it's called learned
and that's just kind of what it made me think of, was that kind of image of for a lot of people I've seen, there's this moment of, the world hasn't changed. They've simply lost this baggage that was on them. And there's a reason why the term apostate means a freed slave.
Yeah.
Does it? Wow. Okay.
So what what did you want to talk about specifically? I'm sorry. I feel like I lost the thread.
You guys you have a great community there in Austin, and I've watched for a long time, and
you betcha.
I don't know really how much you'd be able to advise or help me, but in the last couple of months, I've started to interact with my local churches. Because,
Brave.
Well, secular humanism and all that.
Yep.
There's things that need to be done that I'm not really swaying a whole lot of people as far as their thoughts on God, but that there are all kinds of things that people will be okay with challenging kind of within their beliefs, like your family, your friends. When you come out as atheist, of course, the first thing that tends to go is that preconception about baby-eating atheists. They can't maintain that when they have someone living in their life that violates the archetype.
Yeah.
So kind of just moving forward from there, that,
I mean, I've gotten the
I think there's an avenue there. Yeah.
I've gotten the, atheists are like this, but you're one of the good ones, or you're a good one.
I get that.
Not in those words.
From people who are the only atheists they've ever met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and they still kind of say, oh, wow, you're a really nice person and you care about people.
And you're an atheist?
Yep.
So,
and you're an atheist? Yeah.
so actually, that is the best advice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's some of the best advice that we can give you is this is a show,
Walk the
yes,
walk.
but people see us and go, hey, maybe these guys aren't so bad. And then they reach out. And in your life, that is a great thing that you can do. It's funny because I've talked to people who just come out as an atheist and they're like, oh my gosh, I need to confront all of my family and tell them how stupid they're being. And it's like, oh, hold on. Not everybody's ready to get there. Not everybody wants to talk about it, or not everybody wants to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
And so if you put yourself out there, right, if people know that you're an atheist, right, if you're in a safe enough place to do that, and then being up for talking about it is the best way. You know, confronting somebody who doesn't want to talk about it, you're not going to get there, right?
Yeah.
But by being a good person, by being out there and being humble, that's another really, really big one. And it's a trap that I see a lot of people get into. They go, oh my gosh, I need to know the answer to everything. Or people, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't. And I think we've said it enough times on this show that when you say, hey, I don't know, let's learn together. That is an amazing experience, and it's a gift that you're giving them because,
and that's a starting place with a lot of people around here. Even if you can even just get in so far, instead of having a debate about your differences, if you can even kind of point out maybe something small that is affecting someone in their life, you know, and then something direct that, you know, I know that your beliefs do kind of impact how you go about your life. You know, I see a lot of people where I'm from that, you know, their religion, it can define what they do in many aspects of their life. And so I think that for me, a really good starting place has been simply just to kind of get people in their own way to re-examine even their own beliefs. You know, I think that there's a wealth of good that can be done by even just talking to people about, you know, little inconsistencies, not for the purpose of oh, it's all fake, it's got to be all fake because look, it contradicts itself, but rather as kind of, you know, there's even, you know, Matt would probably say this, but you can point to a different part of the Bible and find a counterpoint for almost every one of the things that happens that's bad, you know, that people will take the Bible, they'll manipulate it for their own purposes and get people to do bad things. But you can also take the same book and find something good in it. And I don't know, I think truth is really important. But where I'm at, most of these people that I talk to aren't very concerned with truth on that particular question, but they still care about truth in many other areas.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess that's where I'm at is you know, if I can't convince people to challenge the overall structure, I absolutely have gotten somewhere with kind of pointing out like prosperity gospel. Most of the people that I know aren't really a fan of that, don't think that even fits with the kind of narrative that is in the Bible. You know, that's kind of like the opposite of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what I will say is, as far as cherry picking the Bible and contradictions, there's a good joke in basically an annual show that oftentimes makes its way through Texas that's, you know, this back and forth about, well, the Bible says this, well, the Bible says that. Oh, well, you know, there's a cobbler recipe in there if you read it right. And that's true. You can. It's probably a poop cobbler, and it's in Ezekiel. So that's a real thing. But yeah, it's good to be in a place where you care about truth, and it is unbelievably frustrating, at least it was for me, to encounter people that were satisfied separating, oh, well, there's faith beliefs and science beliefs, and like, oh, they're different. I think they probably didn't use the word science because that's a dirty word for them. Yeah, it's maddening almost.
That's tough for me here. I get called an evolutionist.
Oh.
I do. I really do.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Well,
but like I said, people change their tone, especially if you can even bring up that what you want is not to disprove the Bible. What you want is for their opinions about a topic. You know, if you want to talk about some particular topic that affects people's lives, like everyone that I've talked to, I found that they are more willing to kind of take a step back and say, well, what if I tried to answer this question without looking to the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually very surprised to find, more people than I thought that were open to at least like looking at that question as, I don't want to go into any examples because in a lot of ways that's politics, but people are willing to talk about these things if you frame it in a way that is literally, life and death. That's
so
we're talking about how do we feed the people in our community that won't come to our church because you guys didn't like the browning of the church, and then there's this group in that church that wants to help these people, and there's other people in the church that are preventing them and using the Bible to say why they shouldn't help these people.
Yeah.
And I can just open up, go straight to like Numbers something. There's a verse for it where it says to help the needy, and so they'll
Josh,
listen to that. They'll actually listen to that. So
So what I was going to say is, one of the things that's interesting is if you go back and you actually look at Matt describing his deconversion, is he sort of decided he wanted to believe as many true things and as few false things as possible, and then he took a critical thinking, with a dash of skepticism, look at all of his various beliefs through his life, and what he has said is that his religion was the last one that he looked at. And if you look at things that people are less emotionally attached to, right? Politics is still emotionally attached, but usually not as much.
It's next to religion. It's the next to last thing to be examined.
So like if you get someone to think about like, oh, okay, well you want to figure out, what a reliable news source is, and you go, okay, well it's possible that we've all been deceived by this. Let's figure out a way to research it together. So as long as you can get them to a place where they're starting to critically examine things, and they're doing it, they get used to being open-minded about questions, even questions that they already have a conclusion about. Eventually, they'll run into a point where they experience cognitive dissonance about that approach being applied to other things reliably in their life, and them not applying it to faith. And that would be where I was going, because the description says seeking advice for interacting with theists without being empowered by a local atheist community. And I can say, it's real hard when you don't got friends, because you gotta have friends, or whatever. I was probably out of tune, but that's something that we're working on getting resources for. But
it is hard. It is hard. It's easy to talk and to act hopeful, but in some ways, I think the you kind of put on a bigger smile the harder things are, kind of thing. That
stiff upper lip and all.
Yeah. So what I will say is I hope that helped, and I mean, keep in touch, send us an email, see how let us know if we can give you other advice. But I think we're probably gonna go.
Next call.
Yeah.
All
well, but thank you for calling in, Josh. It was a good talk.
Yeah, and thank you guys for doing what you do. I think it's necessary.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate it.
We agree that it's necessary. And
Bye.
All right.
Go without God.
So that whole being yourself, being open and meeting people where they're at, I think, is another piece that a lot of people don't get. Is that if some people are using the Bible to justify their beliefs, that doesn't mean that they're going to be convinced with the Bible. It just means that they've found an excuse to justify bigotry. That
because their conclusion isn't whatever I read in the Bible that I don't already think is true. Their conclusion is this is true because Bible. And so when you say, well, the Bible says this other thing, they then try and understand how the Bible also still supports their conclusion. So it's getting them to...
Before we move on to other callers, we do have several open lines, by the way.
We have a
Don't
bunch.
leave me alone with Jamie. If you're a believer, call in 512-686-0279. If you are not a believer and you have a good thing, please stop it. That's going to make for great radio.
I was slowly creeping up on Eric.
He was. That's okay. Love you, man.
Visual jokes.
You know, if you are an atheist and you want to call in, have a good topic. If you don't have a good topic, we're not going to take your call. What?
Blunt.
It's honest. When we started, we were screening calls for AXP, and you better believe that we had to make that tough call and say, no, you're calling for a really weird.
Oh my God. There's a
reason.
call screener that just churns through it like the entire show. He's like, oh yeah, oh no, here, I don't think that's gonna be a good call. Thank you.
Peace.
And then he's got like 3 lines continuously ringing as he goes through them.
So, come
Is
up
there
with
a
a good
list
topic,
of
call in.
5
If you're a
names?
religious caller, definitely please call in. Now's your time. We will take your call. Yes, there are 5 names that I want to mention before we move on to the next few callers, and those are our top 5 Patreon supporters. If you become a Patreon supporter, there are perks other than just getting mentioned in the top 5. If you are at the $2 level, you get our podcast ad-free.
Yeah.
If you're at the $3 level, you get access to a patron-only version of the show on YouTube. If you are a $10 and up member, you get our after show. You get the patron-only feed because we take all of our calls and we talk to people. So if you want to get more, if we haven't talked Heathen enough and you need a little bit more before next week.
Let me just tell you, you do. Even if you're only going to get it for 1 week and you're going to try and binge through the ones we already have, I think that there's a Hamish in there from early on.
There's a Hamish. There are several religious callers who've called in at the end who we have just had these fiery discourses with that were just explosive.
I can't remember. What was the last one?
It was good.
Cannot
I think
remember
when
his name.
Aaron
It's
was
great.
on, we were on for an hour after the show ended, just talking to people. So if you
calls were
haven't
good.
become a patron, and you can, if you like what we do and you want to support us, please consider going to patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. Our top 5 patrons this week. I'm refreshing the page just in case. Our top 5 patrons are Nando Gonzalez,
Boom.
Janet Reyes,
Bam.
who, by the way, was making a comment at the very beginning of the show. Janet, we know you contribute a lot. We really
Still
appreciate
bam.
it. David Arland,
Kazam.
Lynette Ann Cross,
Zap.
and Dale Smith. Thank you so much for being
Technically a different
patrons.
sound.
The last 2 patrons are at the $10 level, so really, we don't have this huge $500 like.
You could
it
win
is
this competition.
Little bits every week, and it's everybody kicking in what they can that helps keep us going. And this
get
doesn't
your
line our
own
pockets.
sound effect.
This goes to making our shows. They were able to hire me, which makes me really, really happy. But please do. Please contribute if you can. Patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. Let's move to the next caller.